In Los Angeles, a jury made a determination that Melina Abdullah, of course, who's the Black Lives Matter grassroots activist, was not being swatted by LAPD. This had gone back in terms of when they showed up at her home. And again, the decision came down a few moments ago, probably about less than 30 minutes ago, by the jury. They rejected the claims in here. They deliberated for about half a day before finding in favor of the city. She said that she and her children were forced out of her home at gunpoint on August 12, 2020. This was following the death of George Floyd. Right now, there is a Zoom call for media that's taking place right now. So let's go ahead and play some of that.
So for folks who need an actual copy of the complaint, the lawsuit, you can download it from the chat. And now we'll pivot over to Dr. Melina Abdullah for her reaction to today's verdict.
Yeah, so I think, one, let me just start by saying thank you. Thank you to Dermot. Thank you to Aaron. Thank you to Chris Martin, who were the attorneys who represent this case. We know that when the swatting happened in August 2020, we spoke with several attorneys, and many of them were afraid to try this case. Many of the attorneys said there's no money to be made in this case, and so they wouldn't work with us. Not that Dermot and Aaron and Chris were not at the top of our list. They were, but I just want to point out what kind of commitment to justice has to be had by the attorneys to pursue this case. This, as Dermot Givens has shared, anytime you sue police, it's an uphill battle. And one of the things that was raised in this case over and over is I didn't die. In fact, the attorney for the police kept saying, "Why are you suing? You didn't die. You didn't even get shot." And I didn't get shot. And that's by the grace of God, right? It's by the grace of God and by beloved community that I'm here and I'm speaking, that my children are safe. And I'm grateful, grateful, grateful that that's the case. And you shouldn't have to get shot to say that police are doing something wrong. So I want to begin with the words of Charlotta Bass, who's the first Black woman to run for vice president of the United States in 1952. She ran on the Progressive Party ticket, and she said, "Win or lose, we win by raising the issues." So that's the point. We win by raising the issues. We are winning by exposing who LAPD is and what they do. So we were only allowed to present evidence on the August 12th, 2020 swatting. The judge in this case barred us from being able to present additional evidence because, as some of you are aware, after my children and I were violently swatted, and it wasn't just the call that caused the violence, it's the police response to what they call a prank call that really caused the harm. But it wasn't just August 12th, 2020. When we announced that we would be suing LAPD for their violent response, the very next day, my home was swatted again. And then it was swatted again, twice in a single week, right? It was swatted again. So I was swatted a total of 3 times, and LAPD would have you believe that they did nothing wrong. I want to just underscore what Attorney Givens has offered. It was one of the most traumatic experiences of my life. They kept replaying the video over and over of what it was like to have my home surrounded by dozens of police officers with assault rifles trained on my house with my 3 children inside. And me having to make the decision as a mother to come out with my hands up as ordered, because I didn't want to risk them barging in, and I won't even speak what could have happened to my children if they'd barged in or had started shooting at the house. The outcome of the case is, I don't want to pretend as if it's not a blow, even though we were bracing for it. It is a blow. We were still hopeful that maybe this time would be different. Maybe this time these jurors would see the truth of what's happening. Maybe because we knew we were exposing the system, maybe they would say it was wrong, even if it happens to a Black mother. But what we see over and over, especially over the last few weeks, is outright assaults, especially on Black women, and a pushback and a backlash against those of us who dare to organize against violence, against state violence, and against police violence. What we saw is the system, several different parts of the system of policing, the city attorney's office, as well as the court system, all double down on violent policing and police violence. What we saw is a judge who had spent his career before being appointed, not elected, appointed to the bench. He spent his career as an attorney defending police. And so it wasn't surprising when Rupert Birdsong treated us in the courtroom as if we were criminals instead of engaged citizens. It wasn't surprising to witness him berate Dr. Tabitha Jones-Jolivet and enable and allow and condone the beratement of myself by the Los Angeles city attorney, who I can't even say what his name is because he refused. I've never seen anything like it. The city attorney who was representing the police, who cross-examined me, refused to even give his name. He refused to give his name when asked. And then he went into this whole performative thing, assailing me, asking me, didn't I think I was special? And if this were the 1950s or 60s, he would have called me an uppity Negro. Who do you think you are? He asked me. Who do you think you are? And so we watched all parts of the system kind of protect itself and protect police violence. And ultimately, we got the outcome that we got, which is that police are enabled and empowered to do whatever they want with absolutely no repercussions, with no accountability. And that is saddening. But I want to also reflect on the other point that Attorney Givens raised, and that many of you know. I see some of the people who were here. James Farr is one of your fellow journalists who was actually in the courtroom every single day. Every single day. Every single day, there was not an empty seat in the courtroom. Every single day, there were members of organizing community sitting in the hallway. Every single day, they even subjected themselves to, again, the kind of violent policing that we were there to protest, because the judge saw fit to call in the LA County Sheriff's Department, dozens of them, to police members of the public in the hallway for a civil trial. I've never seen anything like it, right? But our beloved community stood firm. We said, we're all here together. I'm especially grateful that there was a massive turnout on the day that my child testified, my oldest child, who's now 20, but was 16 at the time of the violent incident, was there, and they took the stand. And there were just a massive number of people to make sure that they felt held and loved. And so I guess what I'll end on is just by saying thank you. And while we didn't win in court today, we did affirm for ourselves that we keep us safe, and that we have each other to struggle alongside, and that we're not going to stop fighting just because it's no longer 2020, or just because systems of policing and prosecution and courts seek to shut us up. We're going to continue to fight because our people deserve it and need it, and our ancestors and future generations demand it.
Fanbase is pioneering a new era of social media for the creator economy. This next generation social media app with over 600,000 users is raising $17 million, and now is your chance to invest. For details on how to invest, Visit startengine.com/fanbase or scan the QR code. Another way we're giving you the freedom to be you without limits.